Fire up your home or office with ultimate speeds. Keep up with the next generation on Dialog 4G. Connect to the fastest network with burst speeds of 40 Mbps. Go 4G with monthly plans starting at just 1,400 rupees. Dialog, the future today.
Hello and welcome to our preview and review show of Bradby 2014, the 70th Bradby. One leg already played, one leg to go. Trinity taking a lead of 28 points to 16, 12 points lead into the second leg at Pallakele on their home turf. We called it last time to Royal College by a split decision of 2-1. I'm with the same gentleman who called it last time, Bilal, Yusuf and Milinda Gunawardena. Bilal, who played in 2001 and 2 for Royal College in those two unbeaten sides and coached another unbeaten side in 2009 as well. And Milinda, who captained Trinity to a Bradby win in 2008. Bilal, Millie made us look bad. We called it for Royal. We honestly thought Royal was going to win at least the first leg. But he turned out to be right. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think, Shanaka, if you look at it, I think some of the things we expected Royal to do well in the first leg, the execution was rather poor. I think one area you were expecting Royal to have their kicking game and chasers in place, that was not quite there. They were very good in the line-out, in winning most line-out balls, but unfortunately I think they tried to be a bit too creative with the maul and I think they were overthinking probably Trinity's sacking counter tactic, and I think they were trying to rush the feeders into the maul, and sometimes you saw the maul popping out. So I think some of those little things, probably over analyzing the opposition, cost Royal. And also one thing I found very interesting, they looked to open it out from the word go. And I think probably if they built up a few phases, kept it a bit tight for a bit longer before going wide, it may have been a better result, but they looked to just alter their game plan straight away. So I think some of those factors cost Royal in the first leg.
Millie, it's not often you get to say I told you so. How do you feel now?
I feel good. I mean, I told you so. And well, I think Trinity did not have their best game of the season. And it was nothing close to what they are capable of doing. But also the fact that it's not that Royal played badly, but they weren't good enough to beat Trinity on the day. And there were certain things that they did right, but also the fact that Trinity's skill level, or they have such potential that if Royal makes a mistake, they will capitalize on it. And I think that's what they did on the day. If you take the first try, was I think a matter of skill. Lochana Giriyagama had the skill to anticipate that pass and intercept it. And also if you take the last try again that Trinity scored to seal the game, it was of a aimless kick that Royal made, and Trinity, you just don't kick it to the hands of the backs of Trinity, who are very skillful, and given space they can outrun the Royalists. So I guess Royal needs to play better in the second leg, and better than Trinity. But still, I wonder if even if they play better than Trinity in the second leg, I wonder if they can still pull it off.
Fire up your home or office with ultimate speeds. Keep up with the next generation on Dialog 4G. Connect to the fastest network with burst speeds of 40 Mbps. Go 4G with monthly plans starting at just 1,400 rupees. Dialog, the future today.
I was actually speaking to Neil Footy last week on the score. Neil Footy is the coach of Trinity, and he told me that he's happy with the win, even though Trinity were quite awful. He actually used the word. Would you agree that they just didn't play up to their potential?
Yes, Charlie, most definitely, because looking at a team like Trinity, you can see that they are more potential. They have the potential, they have the skill. It's just that sometimes I feel they're a bit impatient. They do not want to build the phases. They want things to happen quickly on the field. On the field, you need to be a bit patient. At times, you need to build on the phases. You need to suck in the defenders, and with a backline like what Trinity has, led by their skipper. I think a bit more patience and a bit more structure would help them to overcome the challenge in the second leg.
Bilal, when a coach comes out and says, yeah, we won, but we weren't very good, that must hurt the side who lost.
Yeah, it sure does, and I think that's what I was about to say as well, Shanaka. I think both coaches would probably be very disappointed with the performance of the team, just from a purely performance angle. Like Neil Footy said, he would have still taken the win. But I think from a performance angle, I think, and maybe that's one thing I got right, I predicted Trinity may not be at their best in the Bradby, and I think they were still not at their best. So, if you look at the other side of the coin, Shanaka, he's sending a very strong message to his team what they're capable of. And I think we spoke about that 50 to 60 potential, and they were somewhere around there still Trinity. And again, we may not see the full potential coming out, but the worry for maybe Royal and some of the other teams they face after the Bradbys, only I think the best of Trinity is yet to come.
Yeah, it looks like this team is going to go and get better as the season goes on. Millie spoke of patience. Now that's something that Royal lacked, especially in the first few minutes. Like you said, they came out with an expansive game plan when they might have been more suited to a tight game. What do you think made that change come about?
Well, I'm not too sure whether Royal were overthinking on Trinity's countermeasures and trying to just outthink them. But sometimes you just got to have the play within your strengths and the resources you have. And I think the biggest factor for Royal was they were trying to move it wide or very static ball when the defense is formed. So, I mean, you're not going to get much penetration there when you don't have the speed and the runners. And I think except for Nimsha and Jaiwad, none of those Royal backline players looked very dangerous with ball in hand. So sometimes you've got to be a bit careful on what sort of style you're playing based on the opposition. So I think it was probably overthinking of what Trinity was expecting them to do and trying to get them off guard. But also being a coach, I know sometimes Coach Martis may have laid out a very set plan, and sometimes you have the team going and doing something very different. So, I mean, it's very hard to put a finger to it, but one thing I found very surprising was Royal trying to open it out so early. Rather than using it more as a surprise measure.
Fire up your home or office with ultimate speeds. Keep up with the next generation on Dialog 4G. Connect to the fastest network with burst speeds of 40 Mbps. Go 4G with monthly plans starting at just 1,400 rupees. Dialog, the future today.
Millie, the defensive effort, I was really impressed. Tarendra Atpattar led that defensive line really well. They held their structure most of the time, and even the pass that led to Royal's only try was almost intercepted yet again. Do you think that's what won the game for Trinity?
Yes, I mean, Royal, it's not that Royal did not play according to plan. They did to a certain extent. There may have been a few the execution may have not been as it should have, but definitely the fact that Tarindra led the defensive effort of the Trinitians, and if I recall correctly, from the first hit, he was the guy who managed to take the opponent back and not let them gain any yardage. So I think the entire team followed the skipper, and it was a brilliant effort of defensive effort by the Trinitians. Also, the cover tackle made by, I think, the third row was brilliant.
Amarasinghe, I think.
Yes, I think it was JD Fernando, if I'm not number 7. So Trinity just frustrated Royal by defending so well, and that probably would have got the Royalists to. I think Royal does not have that sort of composure to when things go wrong, for them to get together and stick to the plan. So I did not see that in the first leg. I hope they do better in the second leg.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. But speaking about getting better in the second leg, one thing Trinity have to improve on is their lineup. They couldn't win a ball.
That's something I did not understand right throughout the game. Shanaka, they were trying out number 6 line out right from the word go. The hooker did not have the time to get used to the jumpers. They did not want to attempt a number 2 or a number 4, which would have been easier for the hooker, especially at school level. And they, until 3/4 of the game, they did not realize that the number 6 line out was not working for them, and they tried the same thing over and over again. And something I really did not understand about whoever was making those calls. You get it wrong once, you get it wrong twice. You need to understand. You need to have your contingency plan kicking in. So I hope they try to keep it simple. Sometimes I feel that Trinity, they do have the skill, but it doesn't mean that they always need to play that expensive game. They need to do the simple things right first. And there are times you need to keep it simple, and sometimes simple works for you.
Yeah, simple is definitely the way to go. I think that's what won the game for them on the day. Just made their tackles and the ball stuck a little bit. Bilal, where do Royal go from here? They've obviously Trinity have Tarendra Atwata, who's quite a special player. I think when it was 17-16, he put that drop goal over, eased the pressure, then kicked a penalty, got them to 23 points, and it was him really controlling the game. Even though he didn't score a try, he managed to fan the ball out to guys who were in space, and he really led that defensive line beautifully. I saw him make about 2 or 3 hits where he actually drove the player back, so that inspires the team. And where do Royal go for that inspiration now?
Yeah, I mean, like we said, Shanaka, like we spoke on the last show, for Royal to really win the Bradby, it was very important they looked to win the first leg, and I also think they had a great opportunity to do that in the first leg because Trinity were not playing all that well, but unfortunately they couldn't lift their game either. And now the challenge for Royal is they've got to close in a 12-point deficit. And generally, when you play that more sort of forwards-oriented 10-man rugby, it's very hard to have high-scoring close out high-scoring margins. So they would have to play a bit away from their strengths. And also the other question mark for probably Coach Martis is he's tried to do that in the first leg and it has gone all wrong. So maybe Royal may be in a sort of a situation whether do we just go for the win or are we going for the 12 points. I would think probably if Royal are smart, they would first look to go for the win, assess how the game is going on in the first half, try to get a good lead, maybe 3 to 5 points, and then take it from there, maybe even hold on to that lead for that 60 minutes, and then leave it to the skipper to say, boys, let's just go for it. But one thing Royal will have to do again is, we spoke about the scrums. I think the scrums fell apart again in the second half for Royal. They did really well in the first half. And Royal had Trinity rattled, I think, for that 30 to 50th minute period. And sometimes I feel they could have probably even shut down Trinity if the scrums continued to go well. But it just got decimated in that second half. Those final 30 minutes, it just fell into pieces. And if you don't win that battle up front, it's very hard to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought Royal had a very dominant part of the game. They had once Trinity scored their first try to Giragame, and then Sheik scored one quickly after that. After that, Royal actually managed to get into the game. They managed to dominate territory. They managed to dominate possession. But they couldn't really translate that into points. What was the problem?
Shanaka, I felt the one thing we just spoke about earlier, Royal they say that you've got to earn the right to go wide, and I think sometimes Royal were going wide when those opportunities were not created. We saw a lot of lateral movement from the Royal backs. I think Banuk and Imshan, while they were making those daring runs, they were unable to preserve the space out wide and sometimes getting one push touchline, and the Royal falls are not very mobile, so that tired them out as well. I think that they also lacked the patience to a certain extent to go wide when those opportunities were created. I think if they showed a bit more patience and held on to the ball a bit longer, the opportunities would have come. So, but you could see they were going wide quite often, and you could see sometimes even the scrum half Gail Jayasinghe having to take 2 or 3 steps before he feeds the ball, because you didn't have the ball carriers in place. They were very slow to come around off the rucks and take the ball forward, which included the forward. So sometimes I think he was just stuck for ideas, and he would just have to fling it to the first receiver, and I think that's how actually that even try came about, which is a great cutout pass by him. But I think they need to get their forwards in position to recycle the ball, build a few more phases before they go wide, and look to go wide more of quick crack ball than very static ball.
Fire up your home or office with ultimate speeds. Keep up with the next generation on Dialog 4G. Connect to the fastest network with burst speeds of 40 Mbps. Go 4G with monthly plans starting at just 1,400 rupees. Dialog, the future today.
I watched this guy Giles Amarasinghe play in the Sumitra Rathi Trophy last year, and I thought he really was the goods. I thought you should probably have played him at first 15 level last year. But he's, for me, I don't know the Royal players very well, but apart from Gunawardena, he's the only guy I can see who can spark some sort of recovery. But he seems to be very shackled.
Yeah, he's that sort of instinctive player, Shanaka, who likes to play with a flair, with a freedom. But also, I think he needs that support from the guys outside him to make a call. He was definitely one of the potential players to play for first 15, but he made a very strange choice to decide to stay at under 18 that year. So, but he is that guy who can create that flair. But the thing is, I've also felt Royal's first receiver, Ashok, was very deep. Receiving the ball several times. You saw those brilliant tackles made by Tarinder Ratwat. It caught Royal off guard 20 meters behind the gain line, and Royal had to start again. So I don't know whether we would see some positional changes, but it's very hard to bring in a fly half straight away for the second leg as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Tisula Pereira, he had a bit of a knee injury, went off. Ratwat came into fly half, actually probably played better at fly half than he did at centre. Any idea what the young fly half's situation is?
I'm not quite sure, I haven't actually checked on that. But yes, Tarinder did. I think Tarinder is more of a number 10 than a number 12 or number 13. That's his natural position, and he's the kind of player, he likes to control proceedings. I mean, he likes to control the game. He sees the game differently to the other players on the field, and the calm and collective nature, or his calm and collective approach to the game is I think what a fly-half needs. And he's in his own world, in his game, and if he plays well, he's the kind of skipper who can motivate his team. So I think the biggest motivation the team has is for the skipper to lead from the front, and I think Tarinder did that in the first leg. I hope he does continue to do that and bring the Bradby, win the Bradby for Trinity in second leg.
You're a strength and conditioning coach as well, Bilal, and one aspect of Thari's game that has really come a long way is his strength. It's pretty obvious when you look at him, his lower body is very strong. I can see by the way he went into contact and drove players back that there's a lot of strength there. Now that's something that I noticed with the entire Trinity team. They managed to outperform and outshove in the last 30 minutes of the game. How important a factor is the conditioning difference between the two teams? Do you think one is way superior to the other?
I mean, it's very hard to give an exact number, Shanaka, but I think it was very apparent that day that Trinity were much more strong and powerful than Royal, probably man on man. And they were dominating the collision area. You could see so many times they managed to get those offloads because Royal were unable to put the players down. And you sometimes need to see 2 or 3 players really sucking into the Trinity ball carrier to really get him down, and that's where I felt really Trinity had far more opportunities to really capitalize on where the execution was poor. But if you're just watching the game, Shanaka, it would be very hard to say what sort of programs both teams have been doing. Trinity looked much more stronger and well conditioned just looking at that first leg.
Yeah, let's see whether that's something that can be fixed in the short term, but unlikely. The other aspect that took a lot of, or that generated a lot of debate, was the refereeing. I'll ask you both about that. Personally, I thought referee Dimitra Gunawardena is probably one of the best refs we've got at the moment. Yeah, he may not be a Dilroy Fernando, but the fact is that of the young crop that we've got coming up, Irshad Kada are some of the best that we've got. Now they've both run into trouble. Irshad Kada in the last couple of games, there was that whole incident where people came onto the field and the game was stopped for a while. So it seems that referees are increasingly coming under tremendous pressure in this encounter, and I don't know whether that's a good thing. I personally thought Timmy had a pretty good game. There was royalists saying that their try should have been awarded because of he should have played advantage, but there was clearly 2 knock-ons. That's what I saw watching the game. What did you think of his performance?
I share the same opinion, Shanaka. I think he had quite a good game. Negligible number of errors that any referee would have, even at international level. I mean, I mentioned this last week. I mean, I watch Super Rugby games every Saturday, and I see referees making mistakes. And the difference is those referees have the opportunity to refer to the video referee, where these referees do not have. And so you need to give them, you need to consider those things. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think Dimitri had a good game. And he got his calls right most of the time. And compared to the refereeing that we've seen in the recent past, I don't think currently we don't have the most experienced referees referee school games or club games. He was quite good.
Yeah, Bilal, the problem is that there are some people who watch only the Bradby for the entire season. They don't know what else has been going on in the rest of the school season, how the other referees are blowing. But what are your thoughts on the refereeing performance?
Overall, Shanaka, I'd have to agree with Milinda. I think one thing I could say, he was consistent. And that's what you want from the refereeing. He was penalizing players at the rucks for the same infringement, so there was no discrepancies there. There may have been 1 or 2 errors of that could have gone either way, but I watching the overall game, I feel there were 1 or 2 decisions that could have gone Rawls' way, but equally I would have to say there were some decisions that could have gone Trinity's way, which went Rawls' way. So there was consistency there. So from what I saw there, let me put it like this, I've seen a lot worse. I mean, some just basic refereeing errors where referees have gotten away scot-free. So I don't think we saw much of that there. And I think we have to hand it out also to the referee Dimitri, that he came into this first leg with such immense pressure, with the media scrutiny and whether he's competent enough. And to handle that pressure in sort of such a big stage as the Bradby, I think full marks to him.
Yeah, I think congratulations going out to him. So looking ahead at the next leg, Pallekele is a difficult place for a team to visit. Are Trinity pretty confident? Have they set themselves a target, or do they just want to win?
I'm not quite sure what's going on in the camp, Shanaka, but coming from Trinity, having played, I know they want the shield, and they'll always be hungry for it. And I will back Trinity in the second leg as well.
Bilal, do you think Royal can pull one back? Do you think they can win the Bradby? Do you think they can win the leg? Do you think they've got what it takes to breach a 12-point gap?
Yeah, I think Shanaka, for Royal to win the Bradby, Royal would have to have their best day for the season, and probably maybe Trinity would have to have their worst day for the season now to close that 12-point deficit. But I think they've got a strong chance of winning the second leg if they put a few things right. But it's going to be an uphill task. So coming into the second leg this time, I think even I would have to put my money on Trinity.
Okay, that makes 3 of us. At least we're unanimous this time around instead of the 2-1 split. So if Millie is right, we're all going to be right. If he's wrong, we're all going to be wrong. So you're watching this preview review show in between the legs of the Bradby. I always wanted to say in between the legs of something. But we hope you enjoyed the show, and make sure you keep it locked to thepaparade.com. Follow the live action from wherever you are in the world as well. Hope you've enjoyed this chat that we've had about the most prestigious rugby encounter in the school's calendar, the 70th Bradby. Hopefully we'll see you there, or make sure you catch it online on thepaparade.com.
Fire up your home or office with ultimate speeds. Keep up with the next generation on Dialog 4G. Connect to the fastest network with burst speeds of 40 Mbps. Go 4G with monthly plans starting at just 1,400 rupees. Dialogue, the future today.